That cuts out pretty quick, doesn't it? I think I need to edit something there. Hey, we're back at the Behind the Bits podcast. This is the podcast portion. And if you don't remember, back in, I think it was September, October. Yeah, September and October, we did a little thing called the Behind the Bits comedy competition, and we had three winners of that. And I've got two of the winners with me. Laura Park was one of the other winners, and she will be on in a little bit. She had a prior commitment, but we're gonna catch up with these guys and talk to them about how life has been uh, since the contest, what they're doing in comedy now, how they want 2021 to shape up, and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to get to know these guys a little bit better, and hopefully 2021 is better for them than 2020 was. But let's bring out Justin Matson and
Hey,
Chris
yeah.
Wright. Hey, guys.
Hey.
It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. I'm nervous to answer questions about my goals. I don't know. I don't know what's possible right now.
It's totally okay because I don't have any either. So yeah. So it's been a while since the old comedy contest went through, and one of the things that I had hoped would happen and did happen was the fact that we had somebody like Justin, who had been a road comic for a while, and transitioning into the virtual comedy, did very well. And then we have Chris over in Scotland, who had never really done much stage stuff and had been only doing virtual stuff, and he did very well too. So it was really neat. And Laura was kind of in the middle there. Laura's done some acting and some filmmaking herself behind the camera, but she had just kind of gotten back into comedy virtually when the pandemic hit. So I thought it was really cool that happened, and it's a testament to show that people who want to get into comedy now, they don't have to stop. They don't have to wait until they can get in front of an audience. But being in front of an audience is different. But it's live audience, especially when they throw stuff at you. But it's totally still different. But writing and performing is still really great to do virtually. Except you never get to wear your good jeans or anything like that, so that's a problem. But other than that, it's pretty cool. So let's catch up with Justin first. What have you been doing since the contest?
Well, I'm trying to get back into those jeans for sure. Yeah, I mean, kind of like my whole year has, obviously been turned upside down and stuff. So I think right now I'm just focused on like trying to do small projects that I focus on and not put too much weight on like results, So I co-host a weekly game show. So that's kind of been like a fun passion project. It's called Topic Hill. My friend at Full Dork runs it. And so that's been fun. It's like we do topical jokes and compete for who has the best weekly topical jokes based on news headlines and stuff.
Oh, that's neat. What medium do you go through on that?
We use StreamYard, but it's on Twitch and YouTube.
Twitch and YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, so they just look up Full Dork. But it's like a fun. I think it's super fun. Like it's fun using like hosting skills, and you get to kind of riff. But like, I do some judging on like which one I think is best. But they're all really good comics. So
I feel like some of the better comics that I see, especially doing it virtually, can kind of work the room a little bit and get a little improv-y. And doing the talk show myself, I found that, when I'm more in the moment and I can comment on what other people said, and when somebody asks me a question, I can actually come up with a clever answer right off the cuff. I think that in particular is going to help me when I get back on stage in front of real people, because I was never good at that. I always just stuck to the script. and, you know, joke, pause for laughter, and be done with it. So I do appreciate that part, being able to, you know, kind of go with the flow, bring the audience in with you, in a medium that's 2D instead of 3D, you know. So that's a challenge, and it's fun to do. What do you think? Have you been doing much writing this year, or how's that working for you?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I were more disciplined with it. I have a book that I'm supposed to be writing that I keep saying I'm writing, and I usually, like, you know, I have a lot of empty journals that are a good coaster. But I have been doing writing, like a lot of, you know, there's like a couple weekly open mics that I go to virtually. And that's kind of forced me. I made a rule that like every week I'm going to do new material. So that kind of gives me like some deadlines, so that every week I have, like, you know, a couple minutes of new jokes. And most of them, you know, like a lot of them don't pan out, and like, oh, that wasn't worth it. But I had some good gems, and you know, I don't know how much. It's hard to know how much time it relates to, because, you know, like without audiences live, like, you know, who knows. You know, what I think is 5 minutes could be less or more when it gets to the actual stage.
Yeah. I actually wrote a bit that it was all connected, and I thought it was like 3.5 minutes, and it was like 1.5 minutes. So
yeah.
And that's with pauses and everything.
I did a corporate gig not too long ago, and I was only doing like 20 minutes or something, and then you know, I planned what I thought was like 30 or 40 minutes, so I had like some extra material, and I blew through it in like 18 minutes, and then I was like scrambling, like, okay, what do I did 25 eventually, but like I was like really, like, everything on my list was already checked off, and so I had to like really think to the back of my mind.
Yeah. No doubt. So let's catch up with Chris a little bit now. Chris, what have you been doing since the contest, as if I don't know?
Just writing every day, and just doing as many sort of virtual shows as I can at the moment. I'm in the process of hopefully starting up a Scottish virtual show, in the hopes of once things open back up again, I can take it onto stage and hopefully kind of translates into like a proper show.
Right.
I've done the Flappers auditions and been booked by Flappers a few times now.
Right.
And I'm doing an improv show as well called Winging It. It's like an improv game show. I think I've done maybe 3 or 4 episodes so far, and it's all on YouTube. It's filmed through Zoom, but it's all on YouTube at the moment. And
what would you say is your highlight since the contest? I know that the contest was a highlight of the year, but let's get. I mean, you got to set your sights lower for anything else. What's your highlight after that?
Well, I helped write an animated show as well, and I've managed to headline a couple of shows and stuff. So it's just, I'm happy that I'm progressing as a comic, even though I can't really do any live shows at the moment. But as well as I can, I'm trying to progress as much as possible. So.
And you're one of those guys that writes hours per day, right?
Yeah. I do about an average of at least 20 one-liners a day. And I've been doing that for over 100 days, so I've got well over 2,000 jokes I've written so far, I think.
Wow. I'm totally astounded at that, because what I have done, I haven't been able to come up with a bunch of new stuff at all. What I'm doing is I'm taking all my old notebooks and I'm grabbing stuff that didn't work, and I'm trying to make it work now. And some of it, I've actually come across a few things that I thought I'd never say again, and I moved it around and changed it up, made it modern, and actually came up with a few things. So that's one good thing. But I just, for some reason, I can't think of anything new at all. I mean, and I can't say new. I mean, some of it's new stuff that I'm putting into old ideas, but premises, there's no new premises. It's just me riffing on, I'm making a short premise a longer premise. That's about it.
Yeah.
I think I do it kind of backwards sometimes. Like, sometimes I try and think of a punch and then come up with the most kind of diverted way of setting it up so that the punch is already there, but the setup can be totally different to what it usually can be. Like I think I kind of write backwards sometimes, but it seems to help a little.
So just talking to both of you, you guys can jump in when you want. Thinking about what we've seen so far this year, and we've got vaccine coming, hopefully, that we're all gonna, I mean, it's probably going to be March before it hits everybody properly. I don't know how they're doing in Europe, but in the United States, I know that the federal government hoarded a bunch of them for themselves, and then the frontline healthcare workers are going to definitely get it first, and they should, but it's going to be a while before we get it. So thinking about that, and also thinking about what you've experienced as far as virtual comedy, what do you think is going to be the sum of what happened this year and the fact that stages will probably be opening sometime next year?
It's hard to predict, but I feel like, if things open up again for real and people are more comfortable going out and taking, less risk, I guess, then I think people will be really eager to live life to the fullest. So I think like movies are going to be big. I think like live comedy is going to be huge. Like I think, I'm sure a lot of clubs maybe shut down or went out of business and a lot of venues, and it'll be a little while to like, restart a lot of things, but I think there's so much opportunity and demand. Like I bet I know every comic's probably going to be like starting a mic every, cause they're just so eager to get out there and do stage time. So I think everyone's going to really grind and like probably try to do like, 7 to 20 shows a week and just kind of get out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Chris?
I agree with Justin. I think once places do start opening up again, it's just going to have a boom. But I do still think that virtual comedy is still here to stay. I think for the foreseeable future anyway. I think there's going to be a mixture of both. I definitely think, because I'm in Scotland, there's kind of limited places that we can go really in Glasgow, like for live shows and stuff. But I think the places that do run them, they'll definitely have a boom. And hopefully, because if people have been doing virtual shows, there should be a lot more new comics and sort of better material, and people should be able to work out bits before they even hit the stage, hopefully. But yeah, I definitely see there being a massive boom once everything opens up again.
I feel like the folks that are doing virtual stuff now, really any type of virtual stuff, if you put yourself out there and be funny, a lot of people are making connections with people who will book them when the time is right. And I think that's really good. There's a lot of folks that, they won't touch a Zoom mic to save their life. And I think they may be a little bit behind coming into, if they're really well known, obviously they can get right back on the horse. But if you're just like a feature or a club headliner in the Midwest, then it's going to be hard to get back into it, I think.
Yeah, I've gone to some mics where like the bookers are there and like watching the virtual mics, and a lot of times like I've done audition mics where the booker's not present, and then like it's always frustrating trying to reach those gatekeepers, and now a lot of those gatekeepers like have the time, and it's a lot more convenient to just turn on their computer and like see new talent. So I appreciate that they're taking the time to do that and like maybe make up a backlog of good comics that they're not familiar with. And so yeah, I've been trying to network as much as I can in that sense. And also like in other cities and in other countries, like, it's great to be able to do a mic in Moscow or Japan and like places that, we're out of reach, and it's great. Yeah.
I don't want to make you guys dizzy, but I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Do that. There we go. That way, when I'm looking at somebody, I'm looking closer to the camera, so it doesn't look like I'm looking away. So
yeah, so many of my sets are just like looking off to the side, and I feel like oh no, I need to.
One of the things, Justin, that I was impressed with you before and after the contest, I looked at some of the videos you have out. performing live, and your presence on stage was a big thing for you. The way you emoted, the way you used your hands, the way you walked, and that was, I mean, everything was there, and that was part of the act. And you've been able to put that into a 2x4 square with just your head, you know. And
yeah, thanks. I think the tape you saw was like from my special, and so for that one, I had toured it to like, I think I'd done it like 70 times or something, and so I'd really like had time to workshop and get feedback. And then I had a director who helped me, like, when we were rehearsing for it, he gave me some notes about like more physical, like my blocking, and like and pitch some, like the Thai kickboxing one, that joke, normally I just told it, but for this special I like got on the floor and like acted it out, and I think that's something that I didn't really do before, and that was like it was like, when you feel something that you feel is more precious than your regular sets, you like really go all in, and like I pressured myself to like push it up and do a higher quality. And so that was a good experience, just to push myself to do that, for sure.
Yeah, and then having to rein it in and put yourself in the little box, that's tough.
Yeah, and then trying to get people to see it, and so yeah, it's been a while. For going back to what you're talking about like riffing and trying to practice being off the cuff. Like last year I went to Edinburgh and I did the Fringe Festival, and I did a second hour, and that one was I had scripted a lot, but it was very like interactive, and I forced myself to go off script, and like, so I would interview the audience and riff off of their answers. And it was really terrifying. Like
it is, yeah.
But I think it forced me to get better, and I think I have some tapes of some of the worst bombs of my life. I have a tape. I think it's the funniest thing ever. I mean, looking back, it was awkward at the time, but like, like I had a show with like only 4 people there, and like 5 minutes in, like a couple stands up and they ask like, is this a comedy show? And then I'm like, oh yeah, it's a comedy. And then they're like, oh, we're gonna go, and then they like leave.
Yeah.
And then there's like 2 people there, and then like they're like really uncomfortable. It was just like, yeah, but it was funny, dude. But forcing yourself to take risks is like the best way to grow. And yeah, I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, it's neat to be able to do that and still retain your sense of humor, because just sitting in front of a camera like this, it's not fun. I mean, it's we're home. It's depressing. It's not fun at all. But you got to make it fun. You got to do what you can. So make it fun. Chris, what do you think about the fact that you have? I mean, most of your performances are in the United States now, right? And all different times, but you're pretty much working the night shift, the overnight shift, doing your comedy, and you've got all these contacts in the States. Do you see yourself moving to the States after this, or are you going to stick around and try to make a scene there?
I would love to. That's like the kind of main dream eventually would be hopefully to come over to the States and do as many shows as I possibly can. Like, that's the good thing about the Hot Breath Network as well. I know you're part of it. Like, the contacts that you can make just through that one group on Facebook is amazing. And even getting into the habit of writing every day, like just doing the Wright 10 Club, it's really helped. And all the people that I've met, like PJ and Micah and things like that, like, it's really good. But hopefully I can set something up in Scotland before coming over and bombing live in America. but just like Justin was saying, that's the one thing I really feel like I'm missing out on, is like crowd work and act outs and stuff, because it's only virtual that I've been doing. But hopefully if I can polish those, eventually I can hopefully come over to America, even if it's just for a few weeks, and just to test the waters really and see how it goes. Like,
yeah, I think you need to test 2 things. You need to test acting it out, because I've seen you a lot of times, and you need to test acting it out, and you need to test the total deadpan Stephen Wright, Mitch Hedberg thing too. I mean, I could see you. I mean, don't copy him exactly, but with a pair of sunglasses on, just standing behind the mic and saying it, you know.
That's one thing I really struggle with. Like sometimes if I say a joke and it gets a really good response, like the audience laughing, it makes me kind of laugh to myself. I know that's something I really shouldn't do, but if I get a really good response, I kind of find myself laughing and chuckling a little bit. But I've been trying to kind of work on not doing that as much. But
I've gotten that note from people before about like, you know, don't break character and stuff like that. And you know, for sketches, I understand it, but I find the audience loves when you break. And like, I feel like my smile is one of my like strengths. You know, I think I have a presence that it cheers people up. And I find the more I smile, the more like they warm up and laugh. And so I think, you know, yeah, like if you say something funny and it makes you laugh, I think go for it. You know, I mean, maybe if you're filming like a Netflix special or something, you try to stick to the polished script, but I think audiences love that sort of stuff. It's like kind of, it feels it's more in the moment and less like scripted, you know?
Yeah, that's what I had thought as well, but kind of similar to yourself, I've had like different people tell me, oh, you shouldn't really do that, you shouldn't really do that. But like one of the comics I watch a lot from America is Anthony Jeselnik. Yeah. And he's got this really deadpan like delivery, but even now and again, he still breaks character and laughs at his own jokes sometimes. Like I definitely think it can work. It's just people tell you not to do it, but I really struggle not to.
Yeah, and I really respect Jeselnik's writing because I mean he's a very literate person. His degree is in I think English literature or something like that. So, and he still reads a ton. So I mean, very literate, and he's like Seinfeld in the way that he puts his jokes together. I mean, every word has a purpose and every word needs to be said at a certain time. And, you know, he totally invented the longest pause break I think anybody's ever done. So I think, you know, not to workshop too much, Chris, but I think you could be one of those guys that has a inner voice in between jokes, especially if something hits or something bombs. You know, why did I say that? And I interviewed a guy. I've interviewed like 55 people now, and one of the things people keep telling you, got Laura on. Hey, Laura.
Hey, how's it going?
One of the things people keep telling you is advice on what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And the vast majority of the people I've talked to got better when they stopped taking other people's advice and became who they wanted to be. So that was good. So let's catch up with Laura. Hey, Laura Park, how are you?
Good. How's it going, you guys?
Good. So we caught up a little bit with Justin and Chris, and we talked about the comedy contest thing and what we've been doing since then. What have you been working on since the comedy contest?
Well, you know, it's so hard because I haven't been doing anything, you know, a lot of times I'm nothing. I'm just sitting here. So, you know, it's like you need new experiences to build material. So I've just like what do? I go walk in the park by myself. So I'm trying to like make bits about the park.
Yeah.
You really want to listen to my park jokes?
Like some of my jokes are like, "Oh, what's the deal with staplers?" You know, getting out of the house and like having stimuli is like going to help comedy so much.
Yeah, it is. Like, I don't know, like walking in the park. Oh, so fun. Here's my, I don't have any holiday cards. I don't have any friends. I got this one from Kia. I'm going to get a free, they're going to check my, bless their hearts. They're going to check my battery. They're going to check my battery for free. Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Oh, that's so nice. Like, fucking that. Let me tell you what else is going on. I got a present from my mom. It's this.
Oh.
Cool.
That's so cute. This caper. It's so cute. Probably I shouldn't have opened that but Merry Christmas.
Yeah. It's funny because I think, was it yesterday? Yeah, my wife we're trying to get gifts for the kids, and she sent me to Walmart for a weighted blanket. And as scared as I was, I hate going out, but I went out, and going to Walmart was like the highlight of my week. I was just like, this is the best thing ever. I'm at Walmart. And the funny thing, I was so happy walking out because the greeter came over and said, "Hey, let me know how you like that weighted blanket." So I started talking to her because I've got a 20-pound weighted blanket that I sleep with every night because I'm huge and I need the extra weight, and I sleep like a baby. So I was telling her, I'm claustrophobic. It bothers me. I still use the blanket, and it doesn't make me feel closed in. I sleep better. I'm much more relaxed. And then another Walmart worker came over and started talking. So here I am. I'm in this circle. Everybody's 6 feet apart. We're all talking about weighted blankets, and they were both like, "Okay, we're going to get weighted blankets now." And talking to somebody that is not my wife or somebody from work was really cool.
Yeah, that's the first I've heard of anybody enjoying their visit to Walmart.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and
I that was like the weight of the world on me constantly. I feel like isn't your anxiety enough of a blanket? I feel trapped under weighted blankets.
Are you really?
I don't like them at all. It feels like I'm being strangled. I get scared.
What's the weight like? Where how does it go? Like, I'll take 20 pounds of weight. I can take 30 pounds of weight on my blanket. Like, how much can you get with your weighted blanket?
Do you keep benching until you can do
like I could go up?
What'd you say?
I think I could go up a little.
Do it.
Yeah, I think I could go 25, 30.
I can lift like 50 pounds, but I can do a weighted blanket of 65.
Yeah.
Get your reps in.
I want it so heavy that it takes me 5 minutes to get out of bed.
Oh my God. That's amazing. I need something that gets me out of bed like immediately. I need one of those Japanese beds that like go whoop and like push you out of bed.
Oh, yeah. I can't do that. Feels like sleep paralysis. Like I'm just worried like the curtains are gonna catch on fire and like I'm just stuck under my blanket trying to get out. Like it feels like a straitjacket or something.
So my wife's got, I think, a 12-pounder on her side of the bed, and I've got my 20-pounder, and she just can't make the bed anymore because she can't make my 20-pounder into any shape that resembles a blanket. It's just a ball. So I have to make my side of the bed now and get the blanket the way I want it. But
you guys basically burrow into sleep. You're burrowing bears. You're
just get like a sandbox and dig yourself a hole every night.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I dug a grave. It'll be cozy.
That's it. The grave. I like that. That's a perfect analogy. So what do you guys think about the so some clubs are working in what's called safe manner. So they're doing socially distant stuff, and some of the comics that I've interviewed are doing live shows. Do you think that that's so I'll get controversial. Do you think that's a good idea or not so good?
In my opinion, it kind of depends on like your local like case numbers and how widespread it is. Like some smaller cities that aren't as widespread, maybe it's safe. But I definitely, I'm someone who likes to be really cautious because I when I get sick, I get really sick, and like I'm out of breath going to the mailbox. So like I don't stand a chance with COVID. There's no way I'm surviving this thing. So I'm very cautious, and a lot of people like when they say like, oh, we're only at 25% capacity, like that's such a lie. Because like I'll drive by like restaurants that have their like outdoor patio, and it's supposed to be socially distanced, and there's like 100 people packed in like sardines, and no one follows the orders. Like I've a lot of places that say they have outdoor comedy, it's like a tent, so it's like fenced in with a ceiling and 4 sides, but like technically it's outside because it's like an outdoor structure. So to me, like, I understand, like, they're struggling and they want to have a business, and there are people who want to go to that. So I don't blame them for like do what you have to do. And if there's an audience willing to take the risk, then I'm fine. But I definitely feel like it's spreading the disease and making things worse. And kind of, I really, if in a perfect world, like, I mean, I guess kind of like China, like everyone would just like, don't leave your house for 2 months or you get arrested, and then we're done with this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like freedom, but I also like not dying. So it's a tough decision.
Yeah. What do you think, Chris?
I think if possible, like if places had the capacity for testing audience members maybe a week or so before a show, but again, how feasible is that? Probably not really. But like outdoor shows, I think are okay as long as they're, like, again, socially distanced. And I know there's a lot of kind of rooftop shows and stuff in New York, I think, at the moment. And in Scotland, we've had drive-in shows. You can just go in your car. But it must be so weird for the comic on stage just not to get any reaction, like maybe flashing lights or beeping horns or something. But I think outdoor shows probably fine, but I'm kind of weary about indoor shows. Like my dad has lupus as well, so I wouldn't be able to go and spend any time whatsoever with my dad if I run the risk of catching COVID.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. What do you think, Laura?
I think we should all put on hazmat suits and sit in the corner and wait.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say do comedy with hazmat suits, because I would do that as well.
That would be fun with a full on. That would be great.
I mean, I definitely love, like, I think this is the time to be creative. I think a lot of people, they don't think outside the box. Like a lot of people who are struggling right now, like I think you need to really push yourself to try new things, so like now's the time to like drive-in shows and like rooftop shows and stuff that like maybe weren't as popular, but I think now's the time to do that. Like with restaurants, a lot of them, I understand it's really hard right now, but I think every restaurant should be like coming up with new takeout dishes that are like bento box style. Like why aren't we inventing new recipes that like are really easy to pick up and walk out with, Like any restaurant that doesn't adapt and like learn from this, like I think is missing out on an opportunity to like really like adapt, and I understand it's hard, but I think those are the people who are going to be the most successful,
Yeah. My personal opinion is I did do a couple outdoor shows in, I think it was June, July, something like that. And it was at a whiskey company, and you were on the dock and everybody else was down in the parking lot. And I brought my own mic because I knew that they weren't going to have wipes or anything like that. And what I said was true. And these kids around here, I said, you guys social distance like toddlers. It just does not work. So I did those 2 shows, and I've been asked to do other shows, and I'm just like, no, it's just not. And indoor shows, and I just can't do it. And my own opinion is, okay, the comics are doing everything right, which they aren't, because I see them taking pictures with all the comics together, no mask on. But let's say the comics are doing everything 100% right. You can't make the audience do everything right. And you are creating an instance where they could get together and do a super spreader event. So that's
exactly. And they're not just only together, they're laughing. They're literally going, ha, ha, ha. That's what's going on. Ha, ha, ha. It's just, that can't be good.
Yeah.
It's almost like I want a bomb just for everybody's safety.
There you go. Yeah, I've definitely seen footage of like people who do a socially distanced show, but then right after they're hugging their audience members and taking selfies. And I'm like, wait, did you not understand anything about like how diseases work? Like, I don't understand. Yeah, that's why like people, the one thing I've learned about this is that people can't be trusted. Like even like family members who say they've been safe, like you'll like go over to meet them, and then like all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, we've been real safe. I just went to the the go-kart range 4 times this week. I'm really cutting back.
the go-kart range.
in LA, the Gavin Newsom gave an order, and in the language it said that go-kart, one of the restrictions is that go-karts are only open at reduced hours. And I'm like, who has been go-karting all year? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Getting my nails done is one thing, but if I can't get in a go-kart,
yeah, I'm not making sacrifices like that, you know.
Oh man, it's true. Some of the weird things that they call being compliant is just nuts. I mean, get everybody in a room and stay compliant for 2 hours, and then all of a sudden, because you've done that for 2 hours, that gives you 2 hours to hug and talk and shake hands and just spread it all over the place, just like mayonnaise.
Yeah. I mean, we're still fighting like syphilis, you know. I mean, like, you know, like I mean, we can't even get that. Like, you know, how, you know, I mean, that's like we've known about that for years.
Yeah. So, Laura, have you done any shows since the comedy thing?
I've just done Zoom shows.
Okay.
Just Zoom, little
Zoom.
Yeah. No, I haven't gone. Oh, you guys, just getting me off the couch is such work. Oh, it's such work. Yeah. I'm cozy in here with my cat. We're waiting it out.
Sometimes I go into the other side of my living room to do a Zoom show, just so like I'll turn my camera so it's a different wall, and it feels like I've taken a risk, you know.
Yeah.
You're on vacation.
Yeah.
Well, there's some really cool stuff going on as far as getting out of just the stand-up stuff, like the game show that you're doing, Justin. And I've seen a lot of like Ian Bagg does a talk show. He was doing it every day for a while, but now he's just doing it once a week. But a lot of the more discussion type stuff and the improv stuff like you're doing, Chris, and stuff like that, that's really coming out, and that's cool stuff. And at least, you know, it gets your brain working and makes you forget about COVID for an hour or so, you know?
Yeah. I hope that like everyone, you know, comes out of this with like, you know, 4 books written and like 6 screenplays, but I don't blame anyone if they don't. Like it's just so hard to, as an artist, you know, you're not stimulated. You're kind of like, I was saying it's like going to Disneyland and there's no lines, but all the rides are closed.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, it looks like there's all this opportunity, but it's just, there's no excitement about it, you know, and so I don't know. Yeah.
What if people are coming out like, I learned I like beef sticks. It's all the food they're eating. I like dip. That's sadly where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I'm really in kind of the same boat as Laura in that, you know, I can't get motivated to do stuff, and that's why I'm rewriting old stuff and trying to punch it up. But new ideas are really hard to do when you're not interacting in the world. It's just really difficult. And I've got all kinds of stuff I want to do, but if I don't have a deadline and somebody waiting on me, I just can't make myself do it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about changing up my process because, like, you know, the typical way of like you get an idea, you jot it in a notebook, you like maybe test it out at mics, but like I feel like that's hard. You know, I'm like Googling, like I use like a random word generator to get like inspired by things.
Yeah,
but it's just not the same. I'm starting to think maybe what I should do is to like pick a theme or like plan a special from like, you know, I'm going to talk about this for an hour and then like kind of like I would like a paper or an essay, like really try to think of like supporting arguments and then try to think of jokes based off like, I think if you have like kind of like a writing prompt, if I have like something to write for, like if I'm trying to make an argument, then maybe it'll help me come up with premises as opposed to like just instead of like capturing stuff, trying to create stuff. I don't know. Sometimes that helps. Like I find that when I do like, with topical jokes and stuff, if you hear news stories, you can like think of ideas that you wouldn't normally think of.
I was doing that for a while. I was making myself write 10 current events jokes every day. Just pick up the USA Today and not pick it up, but pull it up on the screen and look at all the different stuff, and then look at some local news and stuff like that and make jokes about that. But that's not the type of stand-up I do. So it doesn't, I mean, my brain cells maybe are a little bit more motivated, but it's nothing that I can really use. So when we get out of this, so that I did it for, I don't know, 3 weeks or so. And then I gave up on that too, because it just seemed fruitless.
Yeah. It's hard to know. It does make you think like, what do I want to say? I think like, cause like right now, like, it feels like everyone's doing different things like, TikTok and like short content and stuff. But like, it feels like right now, like the demand is for just like silly faces and like, like, oh, like here's the thing. But, you kind of question like, well, why am I doing this? And for some, like to be like an artist, not to put so much weight on it, but like you do feel like, like I wrote all these topical jokes, but like, I don't even know if anyone really cares about the news right now, like, right. Like I really, I'm passionate about like trying like in environmentalism and climate change and stuff. And like, I want to like do a stand-up special that like changes people's minds and like wakes people up. But like, I just don't think anyone cares. Like I'm so like, I don't know. I feel like we've been trying that for like decades and like people know we're dying. And it's just like, I don't know. I feel like I've gotten bitter, but I'm just like, like I think people know and they just don't want to do anything about it. And so like,
your special's going to be, we're dying. Good night. Thank you.
Like,
Justin, I was depressed before we started. Thank you for just piling more on.
Good night.
Like sometimes I'll read
stuff I can only take once a day. I can't double up. I can't feel any better. I'm just going to drink. So
it's stuff like I try to do comedy to entertain people and make them laugh, and I want them to think as well. Like I try to have like one joke that's for me that's kind of like about something, and then the rest is just all silly fart jokes and stuff.
What I'm making myself do is appear on a lot of other podcasts. And the funny thing is I do the interview and then I totally forget about it. And then sometimes I get tagged and sometimes I don't. And because I've done a couple in not Scotland, but England. I've done a couple from over there, and I've done a few in the States, and sometimes I forget to show up. And because like Laura, I have trouble with time because there's too many time zones. But I have forgotten to show up a couple times, and I've never forgotten any of my own interviews. But some of the guys that I've talked to, and when I say guys, I mean everybody, that I've talked to have really leaned into it. And one comic I talked to took a comedy class, even though he's been doing it for 15 years, and the same class he took 15 years ago, and brushed up on his comedy. He's written like 3 scripts. He's working on a book, all the stuff that we would love to do, but I just can't make myself do it.
I kind of go through waves, honestly, with this creativity during this time, because nothing's changing, but I've been going through waves.
I actually feel really creative once I've gotten into bed and gotten that blanket on me and I can't get up. And so I just start screaming ideas and premises, and my wife punches me and then I go to sleep. So.
Do you call the paramedics? Write this down. It's Jen.
I can't move. This is hilarious.
I've definitely gone through waves. I think as someone who like rarely finishes what I start, I'll this week I'm all about watercolor, and I'll like, I'll get like watercolor paints out, and I'll like get the water out, and then like an hour later I'm like, I'm so over watercolor, like no thanks. But yeah, I definitely tried new things, and yeah, I'll have like a month where I'm doing a lot, and then the next month it's just like, oh yeah.
I'm thinking back to your Justin, you were in the first round of the comedy contest, and that was probably one of the biggest failures I've ever done, because right before I started it, I updated the firmware on my soundboard, and it totally erased all my settings when I did that. And that was the time that when my mic was on, it sounded like super echoey and staticky and stuff like that. And I couldn't figure it out to save my life. And as soon as we got off, I figured it out, that firmware upgrade had screwed everything up. But the other two did okay. And Michael, that was hosting, did great. And I was really glad that I pulled a host in, because tabulating votes and talking to people after and stuff like that, if I had to host at the same time, that would have been bad.
Yeah, I think every show, like, it's great if you can have like one tech person who's like in charge of like muting anyone who's like being annoying. Like if there's any sound issues, like it's great to have someone who's just focused on that, because it's a lot to do all for one person, especially when you're trying to entertain an audience and all that stuff.
Have any of you experienced a Zoom bomb?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So they either come in and just start screaming, or they'll throw a porn up or something of that fashion. And Chris, you were in the one with me where the guy was smoking crack, right?
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa!
That was one of the
porno
as well.
Well, I hadn't, it was either crack or meth, but I hadn't seen a pipe like that, because it looked like a big spark plug. And I was just like, okay, he's lighting that up with a torch, not a lighter, but an actual butane torch, and smoking that can't be tobacco. That's definitely not weed, because that would just totally torch the weed. So it can't be that. And we figured out it was crack because he said so.
Yeah, I think just before he done that, I'm sure he changed his name to I Love Crack. And
yeah,
that's pretty funny. That's a funny name. And then 5 minutes later, we're like, oh, geez, he actually does love crack.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed his riff before he started, because he knew everybody in the industry, and he was a producer, I think. And I mean, the guy had stories, and he was trying to talk to the women. He was totally not talking to the guys at all. He was just trying to talk to the women. And then when he found out that wasn't going to work, he just smoked crack. And
oh my God! Now that's a way to generate material. That's a way to change. All of a sudden, whoa, that's different.
Yeah,
he's kind of doing a service by like giving us some excitement in our lives to talk about.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. And well, it wasn't cool, because the guy's sad, and if you're smoking that stuff, there's got to be bad stuff going on in your life, so that's sad. I have jumped into the realm of TikTok and Instagram Reels and stuff like that. I've done a few things, and mostly characters. I don't do myself. I've got Eugene from Smyrna, who is a conspiracy theorist, and I've got Richard K. Weed, the best comic in the world, and that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. So I do those, but I am always distracted by the fact that TikTok and Instagram are now competing for which person can be the least dressed dancing around to a hip hop song every time you open it up. So that's hard to compete with,
I just get frustrated by TikTok. Like, you can get someone who lip syncs a joke or lip syncs a song, and they've got like 1 million views and so many likes. You're like, what are they even doing? How the hell have they got so many views and stuff? Like just lip syncing a song.
The thing is, it's so international. TikTok is, and there's so many people that don't speak English that are on there. So more of the like wacky, just not speaking stuff. That's going to get more views, I think, and likes.
Yeah, no doubt. I just feel like every time I open one of those apps now, I'm just cheating on my wife because it just pops up, and
you're still opening the apps.
This is for science. It's not.
I definitely feel like an old man sometimes because it's like, what are these kids up to? And And I don't like how every platform is becoming the same. Like Twitter's doing stories now, and Facebook's doing like forcing stories as opposed to like they already have Instagram. So like every platform's trying to force these like short stories, and I don't like the story. I hate stories. Like I love Instagram's grid, like the old fashioned where like you can scroll, you can choose like, oh, I'm going to look at this one. I'm going to ignore this one. And I like having that control, but like, they're all just becoming the same, and it's frustrating.
I wish
doing it soon too. YouTube Shorts, I think.
Yeah. I wish Facebook would go back to the way Instagram is on how the algorithm or whatever works, because Instagram is pretty good for me. I see what I want to see. The only thing is I follow some hashtags, like comedian or comedy, stand-up comedy, and then other people have gotten a hold of that, and they are showing half-naked women in these comedy hashtags. And once again, I have to unfollow people or block people in order to see actual comedians in the comedy hashtag. So
they need like a Footloose filter, like I don't want no dancing. You just click a button and like no one be happy. Stop it.
Footloose filter.
Not in my town. Yeah.
So are you referring to the original Footloose or the remake?
Always the original.
Okay, there you go. Because that was Kevin Bacon's, tour de force. That was
it's still classic. I just love the idea that like there's one car accident and everyone's like no more dancing, like it's like what, like anything about seatbelt safety, like you're playing chicken on a tractor,
So obviously I've got no point for the rest of my day. So let's talk about what we're binging on Netflix and stuff. What are we all watching?
I don't know about everyone else. I'm at this weird point where I feel like I'm exhausted of TV shows. Like there's really good TV shows, but I feel like I can't enjoy I don't know. I feel like I can predict exactly what's going to happen. Like even the good shows to me just seem so predictable, or they'll have like logic holes that like I for some reason can't get over. Like
and then I hate the show. I can't watch it anymore. Stop.
Yeah. So I feel like the past couple of weeks I've just switched to movies because I've been kind of missing like going to the theater and stuff. So I think I've been watching old like 80s movies that I never saw, like stuff.
Oh, cool.
And
I've been watching Korean movies.
Oh,
they're so much better. They're so much darker. They like go all the way. They're not like save the cat. Let's go up and this is gonna happen. And then everybody's gonna be happy. They're just like the shit's happening. It's so like
no happy endings. Everybody dies, right?
It's like basically everybody dies in the end or goes to jail.
Yeah,
that sounds amazing.
But it's so real. It's just like ow.
Yeah,
it bites you.
What are you watching, Chris?
I'd recently just finished Ozark. on Netflix. That's a really good show, but that kind of got me in a Jason Bateman mood, and I started watching Arrested Development for the first time. I'd never seen that before, and that's such a funny show. Like I just started watching it maybe last week. I've already watched maybe 3 seasons of it so far. It's so funny.
Yeah, that's a classic for sure. Yeah.
We got into 60 Days In. Have you ever heard that? It's on A&E.
No.
So basically it's a reality show, and they get several people, somewhere between 6 and 9 people, to pretend like they're inmates in jail, but they're really in jail, and they're supposed to report on what's good and what's bad about the jail and where the drugs come from and stuff like that. And it's really, the first couple seasons we watched were pretty good, but we're in, I think, season 3 maybe. And there's not like a sympathetic character there. You just want them all to stay in jail and never get out. So we're kind of stuck. We were watching like 2 episodes at a time, and now we can watch like a half an episode and say all these people suck, and then pick it up the next day or something like that. But yeah, we got into that, and we just watched the Manhunter thing on Netflix with the bomber, the
Unabomber.
No, it's that's the next one we're gonna watch, but it's the one that did the Olympic Games. They accused the wrong guy.
Oh,
but we watched that in like 3 days. We watched all the episodes in 3 days. We stayed up till 2 a.m. on Saturday and watched that. That was pretty good. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, and like learning so much about committing a murder. I was like, oh, that's an interesting tip. Let me write that down in case I need it someday.
And that's
weighted blankets. That actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, like you sneak into someone's house and you up the weights to like 150.
That's one thing that's tough. It's because most of the good TV is pretty dark, and most of the light TV is not very good. Yeah, it's all pretty, rehash. It's all been done.
Yeah, I think we're like in an artistic period, because like I think the world is very dark right now, and so I think you could just smell like bullshit when like a happy escapism and like everyone's fine, and like let's not look at any of the terrible things happening in our community right now. So I think people want to talk about the issues, or at least feel like they're somewhat like acknowledging of our reality, as opposed to like escaping. Like I'm someone who doesn't want to escape. I want to fix things. Right. Like, I don't want to just ignore the problem. So I have trouble watching like sitcoms where they're just all like laugh track and stuff like that.
Yeah, fantasy world. One thing we have
doesn't work.
Yeah, like people are dying. We're not going to have drinking water for that dishwasher in 4 years.
And I'm really having trouble watching Jeopardy, knowing that Alex Trebek is dead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're just watching it, and I think they're filmed through the 1st of January, and you're starting to look for how he was feeling, because you could tell some shows he wasn't feeling too good, and so that's kind of depressing. So it's harder to watch Jeopardy.
That's so sad to watch Alex slowly dying over the course of a year. It's just like, oh no, that's dark.
And yet you can't turn away. But we've been doing escape rooms and puzzle stuff. So we've been doing online escape rooms, and there's a not local to us, but it's in Indiana, a place that does these multi-day treasure hunts that are virtual. And we did one of those with our kids, and that was nice to, get the kids on Zoom or on the phone or whatever and talk and go through those. That's pretty fun. It's hard because both my kids are a lot smarter than me, and they figure stuff out a lot quicker. So sometimes I have to turn them off and figure it out myself, and then they've had it done for hours. But that's the way it goes.
Yeah, I love escape rooms in person. I haven't done a virtual one yet. I'm curious how it translates. Like, you know, I don't know if you're just like looking at someone's couch in the background. Like, is that a stain or a clue?
Yeah, I'll have to send you a link to one of them we do. I think it's based in Germany, but they translate it to English, and it's all virtual. It's not like they do have escape rooms where there's somebody in the room and you tell them what to do, and it's live.
Oh.
But this one was it's like a website, and you can go into different rooms and stuff like that, almost like a video game, but you have to do the stuff right or it doesn't work. So we really had fun doing a couple of those, and they're like $10-20 each. So it's not a ton of money. So that was fun.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'll have to do
Yeah.
that.
So let's talk about what your hopes and dreams are for 2021, folks. What would you like to happen in 2021? Anybody?
Anyone want to start? Yeah, I don't know. For me, like I'm definitely doing a lot of soul searching this year about like what's happening, because I'm not working right now, so I'm when I do hopefully go back to work, I don't know if I want to go back to the same work or if I want to like try to use this opportunity to branch into a different field or something for a day job, or you know, or just if I can make comedy touring full time, that'd be great. So yeah, just trying to figure all that out. But yeah, I definitely I'm gonna fill my calendar as much as possible and do as many live shows. I definitely want to do a tour. I was, you know, last year I had a show in like I was going to Tokyo like the week that COVID happened. And so I had a show there, but then I was going to do like maybe a Upper West, like Washington State, some tours. So maybe I'll try to do the West Coast, up the coast, and do like you know, like something like that. I don't know. But.
Cool. How about you, Laura? You got anything?
I've done the tour thing. It's fun. I would like to really, at this point in my life, put everything into, I'd like to be on TV. I'd like to do my set on TV for a TV show, any TV show. I don't even really care. It could be a cooking show. Fuck it.
Yeah. You've got a name.
Yeah.
This is a cooking show. Fuck it.
There you go.
First we make it, then we fuck it. Sorry.
American Pie.
Oh my God. But yeah, that's the goal. I would like to, I worked hard and I've done the other stuff. I've never been on TV, so that's my goal.
That's cool. So you've been on both sides of the camera, and you're really working on being on the front side now.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, why not? Let's do that.
Yeah. Great. So what do you want to happen in 2021, Chris?
I would actually love to get a writing job, like just writing comedy or just writing for maybe sitcoms or TV shows, something like that, because that's one of the things I've really, really enjoyed doing, is the writing aspect of comedy. So I feel like because I write so many jokes every day anyway, I'd love to just be able to get paid for it. Basically.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. A lot of shows used to have I don't know if they still have this, but a punch-up writer, where you've got the script and something's not quite right, and then the punch-up writer comes in and gives you a better line or whatever, and that's their job. And a lot of comics have done that.
Yeah,
I think Conan did that. Yeah, I think Letterman did that too. Yeah.
It's like to be or not to be. I think we can do something here.
Yeah, something along those lines, I think.
Uh-oh.
Oh, rats.
I don't know.
We don't want to lose you, Chris. We lost you for a second.
We lost you a second.
Oh, am I back?
Yeah.
Now? Yeah, something along those lines I would love to do. Like, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. So my goal is to actually get a sponsor for the podcast. The podcast has actually done pretty good. I won an award, and I won the Discover Pod Award for the best interview style podcast in 2020. So, and that was just mostly because I lobbied really hard for it, because it was votes after I got nominated. I mean, getting in the top 7, I think that was the biggest honor, but just lobbying hard for the votes was, so I'm getting some publicists and stuff talking to me and getting me people to talk to, people who are comics and used to be comics, but I really would like to get this podcast going, because our goal, my wife and I, is to get the hell out of Indiana and live closer to one of the kids. And so, but both one kid lives in the DC area, so that's like a double cost of living, and then the other one would be pretty much a wash. But it whatever, I'd like to actually start gaining some income through stand up and the podcast, so that I could maybe take a lesser job. I've been at the same place for almost 16 years, and so take a lesser job and do that, because you don't need as much money when you're not raising kids. Well, I got to say that the comedy contest was a winner for me, because I did get to see 3 totally different comedians in different parts of their career do very well, and I got a lot of great feedback from everybody who participated and everybody who watched. It was watched by quite a few people, and I really appreciate you guys doing it, and I just wish you guys the best, because the best part about doing something like that is meeting people that you can interact with and learn about and care about, even though you're millions of miles away sometimes. So that it was really nice.
Yeah, thank you again for putting it all together.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was
Thank you. Yeah.
I will probably never do it again, but it was.
I have to say, I was really impressed with how well you ran it. Like, it was organized. The quality of the comics was good. Like, it was like it's just smooth. Like, it was a solid show. I've done a lot of like shows and stuff that maybe weren't like organized at all, and but I was really pleasantly surprised that you did a great job. Yeah.
Thanks. I did make some enemies. There was one guy that was a contestant, and his friend also, who is actually probably a more experienced comic, had submitted, and his stuff was a little bit too misogynistic for me, and so I just didn't put him through, and he doesn't like me now. He unfriended me on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. And
well, imagine if you were a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some people, you can't please everyone if they're.
Yeah. But that was just a couple people kind of dug into me, and I did get one nasty email, and that was about it. But everybody else, because there wasn't quite twice as many submissions as there was spots, because there was 21 spots, and I think there was 40, I think 45, but some of them were just, absolutely no way. They didn't even really send a video. They sent like a TikTok or something. So, that wasn't.
I'm always inspired by because I'm someone who's like struggles with confidence, and I'm always so amazed at the level of confidence of certain people. Like if I ever have a submission call for comics, they're like, hey, I've never done comic before in my life. I don't even know where your contest is, but book me. I can do 2 hours. And it's like, what are you talking? I don't have a tape, but just look me up online. You'll find me.
Yeah. I've got a mic in my hand. Really?
Yeah. Some people they didn't even read the instructions. They didn't follow any of the guidelines, and then they get just so in your face about it.
Yeah. That's definitely true. Well, I really appreciate you guys being part of the contest, and it was great to catch up with you. I hope that everything goes well in 2021 for all of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you as well, man.
Thank you. All right. We are